and welcome to part 2 of Learning Tarot with me. This is Tiffany with Carrington Tarot, and we are on part 2, cards 12 through 21. So let's just a quick recap. We had the Fool. He was out on his journey and he was learning his life lessons. He just finished up with Judgment, and then we come to the Hanged Man. Now, if we think about, he just came up on Justice, the card of balance and making a choice, using your intellect. So he had a decision to make. And now we have the Hanged Man. Sometimes when we get the Hanged Man, it's kind of a difficult card to read because the man's upside down and people will flip it back and forth, but it should be upside down. If the Hanged Man is upright, then it's reversed. But we won't get into that right now. But the Hanged Man is when the Fool decides to, again, go inward, right? Inspect life from a different perspective. But because he does this, he has changed. He's changed by this experience. So the Hanged Man and the Hermit card have a lot of similarities, where the Hermit card is about going inward in isolation. The Hermit is about that. The Hanged Man is about looking at life, kind of just boldly looking at life from a different perspective, having a different point of view, the hanging upside down. And then also for some symbolism, sometimes people look at this card kind of in terms of the crucifix, when Jesus was hung on the cross. Sometimes people will make that correlation with this card, sacrificing yourself to get renewed, because with the, which is going to bring us to the next card. That's what I really like about tarot. As you dig deeper, you learn symbolism, you really see how these things relate. Because when Jesus was hung on the cross, what happened? He died, and then he rose again. And so we go into the next card, which talks about that card. So let's think back for a quick second when we had the Hanged Man, that whole crucifixion, that looking inward, that seeing life from a different perspective and coming out anew. Well, in order for you to go into something new, you may have to let go of the old, and essentially that's what the Death card represented for the Fool on his journey. Okay, the Death card clears out the old and brings in the new, often to the dismay of the Fool. A lot of times when things happen in our lives that we have to bring into, it's damn it, why did I have to go through that? But we needed to go through that. We needed to clear some things out. And the symbolism on this card that you will see, and you'll see this in different forms on different decks, but in this particular deck, which is the Morgan Greer deck, and I'm sorry, shout out to Morgan Greer folks that I didn't mention that in the other video. But that white rose, and again, remember in the Fool's card, he started off his journey with that white rose. You'll see that white rose represented in several of the cards throughout tarot, and that white rose is your symbol. When you see that, it's new, it's pure, it's a beginning. So even in death, there's purity, there's light, there's fresh new beginnings. So that's a really great way to look at this card, that there's value in that death. There's value in letting some things go, in surrendering to the process, stripping things away. You see this skeleton, the skull, there's no flesh, he's just all bone, he's bare, he's stripped completely, right? But then he does have this cloak over his head, so there's still some mystery there. There's still something to discover, but in the end, you will come out anew. So after the Death card, we have next card, number 14, we have Temperance. So we want to think really quickly, what did we just experience in this death? We just experienced something coming to an end, bringing forth a new way of learning, thinking, growing, maturing. We had that crucifixion with the Hanged Man. We had that realization with the Death card and bringing some things to fruition, or coming to that end of a cycle, if you will. And then it brings us into Temperance. And the Temperance shows the Fool how to put opposites together to create a third powerful balanced force. So one of the things, the imagery that I like to point out here in the Temperance card here is this path. See that? And that path leads to this beautiful horizon. So this is setting you out on this path to your purpose. You're starting anew. In this card, the Temperance has 1 foot on solid ground and 1 foot in the water. There's balance there. Okay, and there's a few other cards in tarot that kind of have that same um, symbolism. The Queen of Cups, for example, has 1 foot on water and 1 foot on land. With the cups, the emotion, the balance of emotion. They represent some form of emotional security and emotional maturity. So this, when temperance shows up, it's giving you validation that you have your senses, like you are in control of your emotions, and you're able to calmly make decisions not based off of emotion, which is something that's really important for us, right? So that's a great metaphor for the temperance card. All right, the next card that we see in our journey is the devil card, right? People see this and start to get a little nervous. But you don't need to be nervous. It doesn't mean that somebody's going to come and, capture your soul in the middle of the night. But this is just something that the fool encounters in their life. We all encounter something that may not necessarily be good for us, whether it be a person who's controlling, someone who's manipulative, or whether it be an addiction of some sort, an addiction to just about anything. You could be addicted to food, you could be addicted to drugs, sex, alcohol, pornography, toxicity, whatever your addiction is. This card showing up in a reading is forcing you to face it, right? You just came out of this awakening with the temperance card, right? You have this death, you have this awakening, but the universe is not done with us yet. Remember, we still have a few more cards to go. We still have 6 more cards to go. This is card number 15. So, a lot of times as we're growing and learning and going through all of these things, God will be like, are you sure? Let me just test you, boo boo. This is the test card. Are you really ready? Or have you really learned that lesson? And have you really dealt with that issue? Because if not, we're going to deal with it now. Because we're going to deal with it now with this next card that's about to come up on you. Let's take a look at that. So the next card that we have on our journey. Now, this is a card. For a lot of people, this can be a doom and gloom card, okay? It's the Tower. The Tower is when everything in your life falls all around you, it's crumbling, and you cannot get your ish together, right? You're like, I call it the Tower moment. You will have more than one Tower moment in your life. Trust that. I know that I have. However, the Tower moments are very important for us because if you look at the trajectory of the last few cards that we had the Hanged Man. I'm sorry, here we have the Hanged Man. I'm looking within. I'm trying to change my perspective. I'm trying to understand this. We have death. I put something to an end. I'm coming to a renewal. I'm getting some enlightenment. I'm being born again with this purity. Then I have temperance. Oh, I got it. I understand now. I'm on this path to my purpose. My emotions are in check. I'm balanced. And then you have the test. Are you really sure? Are you really ready? Do you really ready to put that bottle down? Are you really ready to stop stalking this individual? Are you really ready to, get out of this abusive relationship? Oh, well, let's just make sure. Let me just make it hurt just a little bit more. Let me just shake your solid foundation just a little bit more. You see that? Those waves crashing in, tumbling down all around you, the elements coming in. But sometimes we don't learn the lessons right away. It takes a few times. So the Tower card, trust and believe, when you see the Tower card, you're going to learn that you're going to learn today, as some of our old school people say. You're going to learn today, right? That's what the Tower card is. That is you going to learn today card, okay? But don't fear it. Embrace it. When I see the Tower card, I'm like, okay, let me just roll with it. This too shall pass. The Tower card is also the card of this too shall pass. Okay, so next we just have this Tower moment, right? We are feeling just distraught. We feel the world is crashing all around us. We have no hope. We're like, whoa, it's me, right? But then we come into what happens after you crash and burn, after you hurt yourself and shake your foundation. This is your healing moment. So if you see this card in anywhere in the tarot, you know that you are healing. And let's take a look think about that numerology again. The star card is number 17. 1 plus 7 is 8, and 8 is in was the strength card. So you have the strength to heal yourself. And that beautiful star above this woman's head, and again, she's naked, she's vulnerable. You just have this horrible thing happen to you. Whenever someone really hurts you or you go through some kind of painful experience, you're at your most vulnerable state when you get ready to heal. Think about when you burn yourself. When you burn yourself, your wound, your flesh is exposed. When you scratch or cut yourself, that scab is very tender to the touch. It's extremely vulnerable, and it's exposed, and we have to take care of it. So that's what the star card is. The star card is your opportunity to heal. And I want you to take a look. Remember, I just said the number 8. So you have the star, which is 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. And let's see here. How many stars do you guys see here? We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. I love how all this stuff is connected. Isn't it beautiful? So there you have it. And then look at what she has in her hands. Just like that temperance card. The temperance card, she's flowing water, like pouring herself back into the environment. She's pouring water. It's an even distribution of her emotions. Part of the water is going back into the ocean, the creation. Part of her water is going back into the earth, the foundation. So you're balancing yourself. You're healing yourself. You're protecting yourself. You're being vulnerable, and you're allowing yourself to heal. And you have the strength to do so. And the way that I see these 2 cups, with the water flowing, some in earth, some in back into the element of water, this is like you distributing your emotions to people, that like reaching out to people that can help you. Not seeking all of your help and your healing from one source. It may have to come from one or more source in order for you to get that help that you need. But ultimately, the star card really represents just healing. Okay, it's time for you to reflect, and you have the strength to do so, and take your time. Okay, next up we have the moon card here, and the moon card is a card about illumination. It's a card about whatever happens in the dark comes to the light. What we know about the moon is that the sun is directly behind the moon in the sky when you see the full moon. But what we have to remember is, when you see a full moon, you're really only seeing half of the moon. So there are still some things behind the scenes going on. And that's a big message to take away from the moon card. The moon card, you have these 2 tombs or towers on the side, and these 2 animals, these 2 dogs, a dog and a wolf, and they represent what's going on underneath the scenes, your subconscious, and what is in the light, your conscious. Okay, and then emerging from the waters, you have a crayfish, and he is basically coming out into the light and going down the path to his purpose. So that's kind of how the moon is represented here. And also, it is a part of your intuition. The sign of Pisces is represented in the moon card. Pisces tend to be extremely luminous, creative, prophetic, intuitive individuals. So that's where that relationship comes with Pisces and the moon. So we just came out of that illumination, that healing from the star, the illumination from the moon, and then what's next? The sun. And in tarot, there's lots of different tarot decks out there, and a lot of decks have different images on them to help you kind of understand the imagery. In the Rider-Waite deck, there's a child sitting on a unicorn with the sun shining behind him. So it's like a happy card. And this particular deck, these are 2 young people. It's like a boy and a girl. So then you have those children again, and the sun is big and bright behind them. And it's kind of a card of just purity and innocence and happiness, and like thinking of it like as a bright new beginning. Because just remember, you had all this pain. You could have possibly overcame addiction. You had to heal. You had to bring some things out of the shadows to kind of bring the healing to a full circle. And now you're finally able to start over a fresh, new beginning. If this card comes up in a tarot reading, it could represent a child in a relationship, to bring new spark into a relationship, or to bring a new journey into the relationship. So the sun is about happiness, about starting a new journey, and it's also about the warmth that you receive from the sun. The sun is nurturing. The sun is the only thing in the whole, and it's constant, because the sun is the only thing in the entire universe that does not move. It is in the middle. Everything in the solar system revolves around the sun. So if you get the sun, also could, depending on the reading, depending on the question, it could represent someone who's arrogant, who thinks that everything revolves around them. So you got to look at all the cards that are in play when this card comes up. But generally speaking, this is a very happy card. All right, the next card that we have before our last card, card number 20, we have the Judgment card. The Judgment is when the Fool learns self-forgiveness and how to move on, okay? So, Judgment, also in the other deck that I was speaking of a little while ago, it kind of represents people rising from the shadows, out of, coming out of death and going up to heaven and being at heaven's door and meeting this archangel. Okay, so that's kind of what's represented in this card here with this deck, is that trumpet, the trumpet of the angel calling you in, drawing you into your moment of truth and your moment of redemption and your moment of completion, and surrounding you with the people that love you and knowing that you have that support. So this is a great card. It's 10. It's 20. So again, that 2, if you take a look at numerology, that 2 brings you back to the High Priestess. So it's all about, trusting yourself, trusting what is in front of you, and going with it and embracing it, embracing that new stage and that new victory that you have just won. And here we have the last and final card of the major arcana, and that is the World card, card number 21. The World card is almost a mirror image of the Magician card. If you think back to the Magician card, you can go back to the other video that I posted, but the Magician card had the 4, each of the 4 suits was represented in the Magician card, indicating that you have everything you need to manifest your goals. And in this card, when the World card shows up, it shows that you have completed whatever that lesson was for you in your life, whatever journey that was for you in your life. You have completed that phase, and that cycle has come to an end. This completion is represented by this wreath, okay? It's represented by this woman who's kind of in front of the wreath, and her past is behind her, okay? And then also this completion is represented by the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. Now, there are 12 signs in the astrological zodiac chart, but there are 4 fixed signs, okay? And the fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. And those are represented here. You have a lion at the bottom that represents Leo. You have a bull here representing Taurus. You have a cherub here representing Aquarius. And then you have the bald eagle representing Scorpio. Okay, so those are kind of like the 4 elements: the fire, the earth, the water, and the cups, just like the Magician had on his table. So this shows that you have attained it, you've completed this cycle, and that you are in a position to move on. When the World card appears in a tarot reading, you are fulfilled, you are glowing, you feel whole. If it shows up in a relationship reading, you and your partner have everything that you need to be successful in this union. If this shows up in a career reading, you are the master of your own fate, the master of your own destiny. You are a boss. This is the card of someone who is handling their business, okay? So the World card invites you to reflect on your journey, remembering all the lessons that you learned, celebrating your success, and just being happy, and that knowing that you brought your goals to fruition. So when you see the World card, express gratitude for you have achieved, whether it be spiritual, emotional, physical, or financial, but you have achieved the victory. And that ends The Fool's Journey by Tiffany on Carrington Tarot. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Love and light and blessings to everyone. Thank you.